Thomas, thank you for joining us on BL Context. It has been a very interesting day today, especially with the finance minister announcing the rollout of 5G services this year. So what do you think would be the impact of Budget 2022 on the telecom sector and even the IT sector at large?
Yeah, so broadly, government has clearly set the timeline for rolling out 5G services, because that was until now on an uncertain terrain, whether they will hold the spectrum auction and when the services will get rolled out. So in the budget, finance minister has made it very clear that they will hold the 5G auctions this year. So this is also important from the government revenue point of view, because telecom typically gets about 50,000 crores every year for the government in the form of license fees, spectrum usage charges, and other charges and levies. So if you do the auction this year, government can easily double that, almost 1 lakh crore it can hit. So purely from a government revenue point, I think this is a significant announcement. That's one. Number two, for the telecom operators, it sets a clear roadmap for them that they need to be ready to start bidding for spectrum by the end of this year. Whether they will go full-fledged or how, we don't know, because out of the three operators, Jio is certainly the best place to buy spectrum at this point in time, because they are financially strong, right? Airtel is okay. I mean, they just got $1 billion investment from Google. So, and their balance sheet also looks okay. The problem here would be for Vodafone Idea, because they're still looking to get that strategic investor, which they've been talking about for almost a year now. So if they don't get that strategic investor into place, and if the auction happens this year, I think they will be in a bit of a spot of a bother, because they don't have that kind of money to put in another 30,000 or 40,000 crore in auction. And then you have to roll out networks as well, right? So that's one. Second, good thing that the government has done is to bring in 5G design into the PLI scope of things, right? So here there are a lot of Indian players, local players who are trying to do manufacturing 5G equipment, 5G gear, starting from design to actual hardware, right? So there are a lot of these startups out of Bangalore. There are also big tech companies like TCS and Tech Mahindra. There's a listed company called Tejas, startup called Sankhya Labs. So there's a whole lot of buzz and going around in the 5G ecosystem. So by announcing that the PLI scheme will be extended to 5G, it's sort of good signs for all these players who will now start getting some sort of support from the government in rolling out these solutions. So that's the second good thing coming out of the budget. The third thing coming out of the budget for the telecom sector is they have earmarked 5% of the USO fund for rural broadband. Now, USO fund is something which they've been collecting since 2000 and even before, and that corpus is huge at this point in time. So there's a lot of money sitting with the government, and clearly we are in need of rolling out broadband to the hinterlands. Like urban cities are pretty much connected, but especially when it comes to optical fiber based broadband, the rural areas are still unconnected. So if you allocate 5% of the USO fund specifically for that, then private sector operators, Jios and Airtel and Vodafone, can take up these projects and go to the government and claim that 5% from the USO fund. To be fair, it's not a new idea, this USO fund allocation. It's been there, always available for the operators. It's just the execution has been bad so far, because they used to go through this tendering process. The operators were asked to bid for certain projects. So then in that bidding, what used to happen was, everybody used to undercut each other, right? So essentially what happened was, because of the undercutting, the project used to become unviable. So by now saying that they will clearly give 5% allocation for this without tendering and bidding, it's a good, I think operators can directly get money from that. So those three are the big takeaways from the telecom sector.
Right, but do you think India is ready for 5G networks in terms of the infrastructure and the general acceptance of the whole scheme per se?
Look, from a consumer point of view, we all want better services, right? I mean, so what does 5G do that 4G cannot do, right? It drives up more efficiency, higher speeds. Right. It's basically what happens if you upgrade from an iPhone 5 to say iPhone 6 or an iPhone 12 to iPhone 13. It's an upgrade, right? So everybody wants an upgrade, right? Everybody wants better speeds. So when you bring in these kind of 5G, you can do far better things. So right now what's happening in broadband is essentially entertainment, right? A lot of video streaming apps have come in. Some bit of enterprise and say agri apps are there. But once 5G comes in, because of its efficiency and speed, you can take broadband to a far other sectors like healthcare. I mean, we've been talking about connecting healthcare with broadband and things like that, but you need networks which are highly resilient, high-speed network to do healthcare, because these are all mission-critical applications, right? If a doctor is consulting on a critical patient, you can't even have a 5-second lag in doing that. For example, or for any other, it could be security, it could be space. So 5G can do a whole lot of stuff what 4G cannot do. So is there a need? Definitely there is a need. But are operators in a position to offer this, or will it be a piecemeal thing? I think operators will struggle to do this because they are financially not in a good place to bring that additional 50,000, 60,000 crore to buy spectrum and then roll out network, right? So at the end of the day, let's assume even they are able to do that, then what is the cost of service that they will ask the subscribers to pay for it, right? We have to pay for it. So I'm saying it's good that there's certainty that 5G is going to be rolled out. That's good from the consumer point of view, but whether operators can participate fully, what is the cost of those services for customers, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Right. That will be it, Thomas. So thank you so much for joining us on BL Context.
Okay, thanks.